Very much for joining me. Polina here, chatting to you a little bit about the month of October 2022. I have done all the signs for this month. Please check them out if you like on Patreon. And if you're curious about me, check out the website. Also, yes, I have done it. I've finished the book for 2023. I'm just going through the last phases of formatting it before it gets published. So yeah, that should be online pretty soon. Also, yeah, if you want to, can have a look at my little channel. I have made a new channel for people that are actually curious about me and my life. I talk about love, I talk about food, I talk about God, I talk about me, I talk about art, I talk about music. So it's not just talking, I also like dance and sing songs and stuff. So it's like more like personal page, I suppose, in comparison to the very autistic materials, to the very altruistic materials that I usually post about the world and stuff and such, because I'm understanding that during this time it's important to enjoy love and a certain type of spirituality that comes from the heart. It's not just about being a good person and doing good and understanding how the world works. It's also just about the juice of life and freshness and experiencing life for what she really is and can be. So that's what for I've done this new channel. If you like, have a look. So yes, let's talk a little bit about October. So to me, I don't feel that October month is necessarily about wisdom and this nice soulful practice that Libra has, even though we do have Venus next to the Sun and Mercury. So it's not just about balancing everything, it's not just about getting things right, although of course it is going to be about that as well. We have a very, very sightly and emotional temperature to this show. I feel there is a lot of us that really, really want to be somewhere or really want to get that or this in our life. So there is a lot of passion and there's a lot of pride. And Venus and Libra is going to make it almost impossible to say no to some things. So I'm wondering about how that's looking. So I won't get into it too much. I did a little bit of research by accident. So Venus is the brightest star in the sky. They believe when Jesus was born, she was in the sky first. So also it's considered that this brightest star is also Lucifer. So in a way, I mean, you don't have to necessarily use this information at all or even think about it. There is a neediness and there is an emotionality when Venus is very close to the Sun. And if you have Venus very close to the Sun yourself, there might be an insatiability to you, but also a beauty that is very, very hard to come by. So when we are looking at Venus being on this direct path with the Sun, we have to understand that although there is about, a lot about beauty and being good looking and being sexy or being relevant or suddenly being fortunate or kind or happy, there's also a kind of like an influence that says, I want more, give this to me, this is for me, this is mine, and I desire or I require. So this is not just about a bossiness, it's just about needs basically, and wanting to have more than one has. So I'm going to bring this down a notch just a little bit. There needs to be a nice simple placidity and a level of respect of oneself and what Creator has given oneself. Rather than asking for more changes, more money, more goods, more love, asking more from your partner than they can probably handle providing you, or asking more from life. So I also do understand that a lot of the world these days is Luciferian in a structure, and it's very Luciferian, of course, obviously, and it's very Venus driven. So it's like, we want more. I want the bigger lips, I want the biggest eyes, I want the biggest breasts, I want to have the most income, I want to have the most money, I want to have the most love. Give me the love, give me the chocolate, give me the satisfaction. So this is something that I suppose we all have done in our lives, and sometimes there's also a secret link, a payment or an irony to having more than one can have, or biting off more than one can chew. So in terms of Luciferianism, and I suppose the idea of having more and having greater and greater, all of this, has to come down to a nice neat prose or prosaic way in which we see life, and sometimes is just no. So I understand this today, a little more than I understood this in my 20s and early 30s. Sometimes you just got to tell yourself no. So there is a question mark that sometimes Venus next to the Sun with Mercury very close also, and Eros in the sky also, interestingly, kind of following the stellium. What she possesses, this question mark, this energy possesses, is like, why not? I can have what I want. It's like, come on, let's do what I want to do. Like, let's do this my way. And yes, I already talked about the replacement of Queen Elizabeth II with King Charles, So, like, there is a way in which we will see that in the media, we will see this in the industry. I require, now this is mine, give this to me. I believe it and I see it. I don't have anything bad to say about it at all, as just an important part of the show right now that we might be seeing in the media and on TV, and understanding that we need less. So, in terms of like the simple, I suppose they're like hermetic laws, simple knowledge of life, simple knowledge of the universe can indeed help you and raise your esteem and sense of stability in these very vastly changing times. I mean, so to me, simply an all primitivism, simplicity as a soul, I'd have to say that going for it and doing things is very nice, but just understand the results that you are after. And also, do you really have to make a certain rush? Uh, Rushing, being very quick to judge, being very, very quick to communicate, or wanting more than one can possibly handle is an important part of the change and of the times. We are going through a really big change in the history of our lives. I trust that there is going to be a big change and even a flamboyant shift in the universe, and how we use energy, what is money to us, or like what is attainment, what are goods. It is going to be very, very shocking, I think, to the next generation, or to other people later on, discovering about the time that we are going through as a species now, as to how it was and then what happened. So we might go through a big change of laws and systems during this time. I also trust that there's going to be a big question mark as to where is me and where is you. So coming back to these ideas of fascism, and what is that strong energy, or like a system of belief and trust that says I have the right, or me and you, and like all of this difference between people, and kind of like distancing of other people, and non-accomplishing others, meaning erasing other people from the world, erasing their views and their possibilities, saying no to a whole timeline, or like being a fascist in terms of like what one believes and what one understands. That is going to come into view. So I definitely do think it would be worthy to take a look. I've actually done a little channeling, not channeling, it's a little bit of video work in terms of God and in terms of nature and things. Please have a look. I just published these videos on the other channel. It might be very worthy for some people to idealize things in not such a robust way, and to go away from strength, stamina, searching for results, and walking more towards a very, very easy life in which you probably already are. So let's talk a little bit about Libra. I have my birthday actually here this month on the 16th. Okay, let's talk a bit about Libra. So Libra is about relaxation and ability to not be so vulnerable or so unjust. It's kind of like a letting go, and what makes sometimes Libras very beautiful, and what makes them desirable sometimes is just like they're kind of okay with everything. And you see, like when your face is relaxed, when your body is relaxed, there's something beautiful about you. So this like relaxation and availability to other people, and a simplicity that it takes to be balanced enough, as a Libra, is sometimes something that makes other people very distraught. But, this letting go and this allowing is something that I believe and I trust we have to encompass this month, to be able to really believe in ourselves and fully trust that our world is the best world. We don't have to cook things up so fast, and we don't have to make so much doom. We don't have to make so much money. We don't have to say so many things at once to make it worth our while. So that's the thing, relaxation and passivity, and also gentleness. So conversations, having other people in your story, looking at another person, being friendly with them, being open to them. Also, in terms of Venus as an energy, it's a lesser element in the chart. I know astrologers are obsessed with her. I understand the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans were obsessed with Aphrodite or Venus. And I do understand Venus has become such a huge part of culture. But you see, Venus is a question mark, and she's interested, she's curious. So this is the expression of interest. It's not necessarily art and music, it's not necessarily about goods and attainment, but it is. It is also just about staying curious. Also, in some ideologies, Lucifer asked too many questions. He remained curious. Also, there are some people that are now awakening, the subject of what is Luciferianism and what is, satanic, or, what is the devil. And to a degree, it is about curiosity and wanting to know more than is obvious. And also, if we're looking into arts and studies and such, it does take a very curious person, a curious mind. It's not just curiosity, it's just a desire to have, this is mine, I want this, I want to understand, this is for me, I want this. So it's absorption. Also, if we look at Venus, sometimes she talks of, the bodily organs, body parts, also for females, whereas your Venus is probably the way that your system, the way that your body treats your reproductive system, or how your reproductive system works. So this is kind of like a very, very big question mark. We don't really want to go there too far in this particular video. There is a need for a questioning, but there is no real need for attainment. So sometimes questions and responses are very well during this time. You don't necessarily have to spend all your time and money getting a result, because sometimes result is very small. Also, I want to return to the very archaic basic knowledge of astrology. So Venus is like a young girl, and she's asking father, son, if you can imagine. She's asking, what more have you got, or what more is out there? So there is a very, very nice, naive, and kind of like a trembling sensation that I'm getting about this particular time. It's like this. Sometimes fathers or sometimes families just give their daughters or sons, especially daughters, just things to have. Like, here, I bought your car, didn't I? Like, here, just have a paycheck. Like, just here, like, have an allowance. That is not where love is. Sometimes a father or mother spending time with their daughter, especially your son, and just like teaching them a little bit about the world through their words, is something more like quality time. So if you are a father, especially, fatherhood is a big question mark, is a big subject. We do have Saturn at a trine here also to the Sun, Venus and Mercury stellium there. So like there's a question of fatherhood, and I also do trust there is a question mark of paternity and parenthood. And there needs to be a nice simple discussion. Also, I talked a little bit in the previous videos about how one could be in a relationship that is not worthy or unjust. So for example, being 20 years younger or older than the other partner, or there could be a romance weaved between student and teacher, or between adult and child, and that's not something that we want to go into. So here's what we basically need to do here, is to stay normal surfaced and sane during this window, and just ask questions. When you ask lots of questions, yeah, I do understand it can be sorrowful sometimes to hear the answer, or could be uncomfortable or unjust to us to see what the full picture of life truly is. But it is a better choice, it's a better chance to expand than trying to get stuff and trying to absorb and soak up things that are not necessarily for you. So also with dating life, especially for young girls, especially for young people, falling in love with somebody else who's not meant to be there for you, or who is not going to be able to stay, kind of like a person washing through the community rather than intending to marry, or intending to keep their relationship or the bond going. So looking for friendship in unresulting or negative energies, or being used for that which one can give, like giving so much love and so much joy and so much youthfulness to a party or organization, a person, or even a scene or a culture, and that then eventually not being given a lot. That has got to do, I feel, with maturity as well. So like for me as an adult, I understand that I have made a lot of choices through not really wanting to learn enough, but wanting to have or to handle. So sometimes we don't speak well, we don't do well in life, we can't create what we've always wanted, is because we don't have enough maturity, we don't have a mature enough result, because all the facts haven't yet been seen or surfaced. So in terms of study and the arts and being able to develop yourself here, it's a very, very important time. So it isn't about I deserve, I must have now, give it to me now. Like, this is very childish. Also, if you are raising your daughters, especially your sons, because we're talking Venus here, um, it's very, very important to just draw the boundary and say, no, you cannot drive a car at 8 years old. No, you cannot say, for example, touch this or touch that. No, you cannot eat this. So it's about boundaries and also healthy and happy living situations that can be available to us, and they can evolve, and eventually we'll enjoy ourselves better. So this is about keeping boundaries, keeping responsibilities, understanding law and systems that are just okay, like this is a yes, this is a no. Don't touch the iron, it's the law. Like, you don't touch the iron. For example, you don't eat all of this on an empty stomach, or you don't try to do this at this age, or you don't, like, there's contexts, like, don't do this, don't do that. So we are looking at laws and regulations. I trust this month around there is going to be quite a lot of law laid down in different systems, and maybe there are some partnerships that will not be able to trust themselves on that new level, and they will separate. So separation happens because sometimes the law or a certain type of mathematic within a partnership just doesn't work anymore, or within the person. So like, we all have to be, I feel, very kind and not cruel. And if you can, start to connect to people and ask them. And I know that, like, it is a very, very mean and emotion less time for some people, and some people can be cruel. It's like, you ask too many questions, they get angry, or they get very mighty, or they get serious. But without talking it out, we can't do it. So it's like a river, find another way, find another way, ask somebody else, ask another person. There's always so many ways to do something. You don't have to just have a yes or no answer. Also, there is a myriad of ways to get around things, and yes, cutting corners and being outside of certain laws also. But remember that. So for example, if you are not within a certain person's perception of what is real or what is right, you might eventually get cancelled. So for example, there is a law, like say with Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or anything, also with anybody. People possess each other with laws, expectations, and the qualities that they want you to have. Now, that's a very, very harsh and hardcore thing for me to face and to understand. The values that we have within ourselves on a level are just a mirror image of how we were possessed by the laws and societies where we have been raised. So the law system and the regulation and all of that, you see, it doesn't necessarily have to be now. So this is about discarding of law or regulations or other people's levels of maturity. It's like, just because this person believes this is the real law, it doesn't necessarily have to affect me. So this is also like a question as to fidelity and where you're going to be. So the perfect, most beautiful part of Libra here is infinity and the availability to stay whole and true. And we have to basically understand here and not seek irrelevance in ourselves or others. So not to seek conflicts. Also, as we do have Mars still going through Gemini, we don't need to seek conflicts or defiance during these days, but we will if we can't afford that which we're living in, or if we don't want it. So quite a lot of conflict might actually come from inability or nervousness as to what our lives have become, or just that which we're experiencing. So we have to somehow feel and find a way as to what more can we associate with, what more can we handle, or what more can we be a part of. So a lot of people are slipping out and away. It's a very good choice to come out of systems. Monetary system, question that, Illuminati code system, all of that, like things you subscribe to, the books that you buy, the music you listen to, all of it, just like wanting to do something a little bit better than you've done is kind of a hidden secret about this time. Even if you have the most developed relationship or like the best way of life, you might think to yourself, actually, I see it, but I can also do better than this, or there is a program beyond this, or this is not the point, or this is not the truth, which is an unconscious Luciferian system. So this is like the Libra Venus in a way. It's like, I see you, I get it, but I think there's better out there. So that's a very, very nice way to look at life. That's a very, very nice, no nonsense way to also get yourself into some trouble. So it depends on how you see it. So when we are asking questions and where we want to stick away, we want to like find a way to not be vulgar and vulnerable and not to find ourselves in trouble. But yeah, a lot of people will find themselves in trouble because questioning, arguing, or wanting to mention something and wanting to get a little bit of a cleaner result than there's been. Looking for clean results is over. So Virgo was not just a time of clarity, it was a time of complete abandonment and cutting off that which wasn't working anymore. But then there is going to always be chance in Sagittarius and of course Scorpio to ask these questions. And I do get it that some people just really want to question and they want to like get inside and they want to also sometimes possess another person, their way of thinking or feeling, their understanding or their contrast in order to have themselves more whole in their hearts. And that's okay, that's true, that's alright. But like we have to also find out what we can do to just be ourselves, you know. So questioning another person, being curious about another person, wanting to pick locks because 7th house to Libra is Aries and there is Chiron in there, there's also Jupiter retrograde. But we have to also like get this, okay, we've got to make sure that we are not also mentionable to others on that question mark level, you know. So people questioning, they want to get something out of you, they want to get more out of this, they want to get a little bit more salt or a little bit more sugar out of it, they want to taste it, they want to give them more or give them the understanding of something, which is what Libra Venus here is really definitely about. It's like curiosity, asking the questions and kind of like pulling out those little threads that you really want for yourself. But then at the same time, you don't want to be negative here. So like negativity and feeling worthless or not feeling wanted or whole does happen and does come to be if you have too many questions in your life or you've questioned too many people, you've been also maybe too dishonest about yourself, saying that you don't know something or you don't have something when you do. So I want to get but I don't want to give. That's a question mark. It's like I want to take out of this but I don't want to tell anybody what I have inside. So it's also like a question of storage. So banking systems, also that which is stored. We have a big question mark here, maybe even right now. So then we have to be very, very careful and guided, because what I'm feeling is that people don't want to necessarily live a life of question marks or like a show and tells or even a show and tells of other people. So we have to start to get passive. So the only way to really walk out of unconscious segregation or like unconscious need to destroy things by telling too many fibs or asking too many questions or eating too much or doing too much is just being able to relax. If you have an ability to meditate or just enjoy yourself, that's probably going to be the best. Feeling safe and joyful in what you have, but not asking for more. So more brings you more, but brings you bad, you know. So for example, right now to design a story, yes, you can have it, you know, yes, you can have that next thing, but there might be something in it that you don't necessarily need. Having more in your belly than you can handle is just gonna be a question mark later, you know. Suddenly going on a holiday that you haven't planned before, suddenly being with somebody that doesn't necessarily know you or need you around is going to be worthless if it's too cozy sometimes, and it's not going to be all that you need it to be if it's too risky. So the question mark is endless. And we're coming back to the Luciferian concept, okay, of Venus. Luciferian concept of wanting more no matter what. What next? What next? What else is there? Well, what do I get now? What about now? What else can you do? Like, what is perfection? What is the next step? What is the next philosophy? What is there for me? You know, what can I have out of it? Yeah. So the Luciferian concepts of Venus-driven sun, uh, me, mine. I want, I must have it. I must have it today. I must have it yesterday. Where is it? Come on, chop chop. You know, if you don't want another person to do this to you, it's not worthy to do it to someone else. Also, don't do it to yourself or to Creator. You know, like asking Creator, why don't you give me what I want? Where is it? As a Luciferian concept. So, Esther Hicks, you know, like Abraham, is Luciferianism because it's asking for more than life can sometimes offer. So we have to come back to understanding of it being a very intricate world, very intricate universe, and we have to start here with respect. You know, if you haven't been able to generate something yet or at all, or if somebody in your family or in your life has made a mistake, we can't keep on pushing that question mark to the point where basically we wear out our whole history. We can wear out our souls by asking of ourselves or other people so many questions. And respect really starts when you have to understand that there is affinity to your result. You know, so for example, all of these plants outside one day will not be. You know, I must enjoy them today. You know, also your hair, you know, your face, your skin, your follicles, they all have affinity about them. You are also finite, you know. And yes, everything that we have in our lives will one day age, decay, break, or become dust. So understanding that all of the things that happen in this reality, in this life, are meaningless in a sense, or they have no, they have another portrait in a way of themselves as that. Okay, we don't want them anymore. When you think about it, it's like, oh, that watch, I need that diamond ring, or I need that promise, I need this hanky panky, whatever. It doesn't mean anything. So there is a limit now to maybe what you have, you know, and this is not something that you have to feel sad about. So we are addressing, you know, everything you have, like your house and, you know, your backyard and, you know, the beautiful Ferrari outside, or, you know, the nice car, whatever you have, and the boyfriend, or, you know, the father, mother, anything. Imagine it as meaningless already and become peaceful. You know, so it's like all of it cannot stand its ground forever. It is not eternity. None of this is eternal. You know, so that's a very, very secret link to Libra logic and Libra sun. It's like you have to basically get it out of your head that you exist in such a huge, serious, and spectacular manner already. So sometimes what makes us want more and say, I deserve more, give me more money, give me more friends, give me more love, give me more pleasure. In the first place, why we do this to ourselves is because we think that we're already standing on a level high enough to ask, well, you must give me more, like I must have more. So this you basically must destroy, so the pedestal on which you're standing, and the needs and wants that have already been covered. So your father, mother, or the universe, or standing in society has given you quite significant choices, quite significant credit. So after you recognize that actually in the world there is no true meaning, and more or less anything is just dust, you know, anything is just a speck of truth, but not the truth. It is a speck of us, but it's not us. It's not like really like alive in some other space, so it doesn't mean anything. You start to feel a little bit less horny or emotional for that, horny, you know, for that which doesn't exist, you know. So it's more like dust particles seeking other dust particles to make sense of the world. And then you're understanding how funny and futile it all is. And after like encompassing yourself within this futility as a certain arrangement of dust particles at the end of the day, you get safer, you get sane. It's like I am just dust, and you know, come sugar, come spice, come salt, come sour, it's all just more of me coming back into my life. So you know, when we eat, we absorb and we make more particles and everything like that, and certain ones die. It's all just me, and it's all like a fresh and clean vision now. So you're basically eating, you're absorbing, you're experiencing, and saying thank you, and then it just basically comes out, you know. So this is basically all it's about. This particular time of the year is just knowing very well that you are just a processor in a way of God's wisdom through what you experience and what you have to do, and then understanding yourself as kind of a filtering system, you know, in a way, or like a certain type of source energy that inevitably should become, you know, itself, and after a while it gets over it and it goes on to the next plane. So you are no longer fixated on that other guy or this other girl. But like, I'm sorry if this is a little bit too tribal or this is a bit unbalanced, because I do definitely understand most people that like me or astrology, they like something that is tangible, that they like something that one can have or possess. So I do definitely understand that the meaning of a lot of us in society today, you know, and if we're talking about astrology itself, it has been created as a system of attainment and control of reality by other people. So Persians, you know, Greeks used it. Of course, Egyptians weren't the first ones. There are lots of ways in which people have fluctuated this, and they didn't wish to let go. And a lot of these forms and formulas that society has created are kind of embedded in part in this astrological system. But there is a greater universe beyond the solar system, obviously, and beyond the way that it is imprinted or encompassed in this particular art. So when we are talking about letting go of, you know, these truths and, you know, the truth of society, we understand that the universe is much more feeling and sensual and sensing and understanding than all of these, or all of this stuff, all of this garbage, you know. So in a way, an astrological understanding of what is going on today in the world is only a partial understanding of life, still based on society, still based on I need this done, I want this here, I want that, I want this. It is a cosmos, but it's a cosmos in a teacup, my friend. So like there is a small tiny concept inside of it, but if we are looking at primordial understanding and vibrational realization of what life truly could have always been. Now this is way outside the city limits, and it's outside, you know, the cups of coffee, cups of tea, and limited conversation. This is an eternal database that we're working with. So if coming from this more eternal database, you know, and scrapping like astrology altogether, I believe that we are becoming more sane as people. And to me, that means that although there is a lot of disintegration and there's a lot of hurt and a lot of these systems are falling down, and there's laws and there's rule books and there's people like shaking their finger, and there's all of these societal experiences that people are having based on where they want to live. They still want to have a street name, they still want to have a house on the block. Of course, that is going to have its own journey. So how society is going to exist is definitely by the stars, okay? But there is also a next level, in a way, society, if you consider that all life is living. So what I mean is, it's not just about your friends and families and colleagues and, you know, money made and money burnt out. It's not just about this. It's actually about the primordialism. So when you look at your body, you no longer just identify yourself as inches and measurements or like sizes or age or time. You understand yourself as a cosmos within a greater cosmos of its own. So like these different principles of the divine could help you here without having to be part of these little tiny chess moves that a lot of astrologers, you know, are foolish to make today. So the main basically thing is to understand that there is a greater breathing, there's a greater breath within it. We have actually, yeah, coming back to astrology, haha, Jupiter is in Aries, you know, so it's in the opposite sign to Libra. So maybe there is a breathlessness and not enough knowledge or information in the sun. So that means that the soul or the energy systems are a little bit drained, and Jupiter comes from something else. Understanding the greater cosmos. And I do understand that some people will just choose a friend to go have a cup of tea with, and that's fine. That's also divine. But there is a different primordial, more established self-view that I have like today, and I'd like to share it with you. So when you are breathing as this organism, as this universe, as this body, and you can imagine yourself as just like a world full of things. I mean, how interesting are you? Like, oh my gosh, like culture and fashion aside, your job and what you think you know, you're just an interesting energy, interesting body. And there is like so much of it in the universe, in the world. You know, there's like trees, and then there's frogs, and then there's insects, and there are bugs, and then there's like different types of earth and molecules, you know, in the way that the natural world works, you know. So it's like the Discovery Channel, you don't need to do this, but you know, you can just go to the forest or the lake or the creek or anything and just learn a little bit about it through first-hand knowledge. Understand how a bug crawls on a leaf, or you know, like what to do, you know, if like a wounded animal comes to your house. So understanding life from this very, very naturalistic perspective is going to give you a lot more juice. But here is where your culture might betray you. You know, so here I'm talking about primordialism, and I'm sure that a lot of people have probably switched the video off at this point. It's like, I don't care, like, where am I going to get what I want? And the Luciferian system, okay, like the Illuminati system, the consciousness, anti people, you know, wiping out world population, all the stuff that people fear, and they see it on the news, or they fear it in their hearts, is because a person has no root system. So they are not a universe anymore. They don't understand. They don't believe in themselves apart from their role and their gender and their stereotype. So here we have got to basically break through. I mean, I understand that not a lot of people would really want to see like me or another person as just a universe that is evolving in front of their eyes. I do definitely know that most people wouldn't want that, you know, and I do definitely get it that quite a lot of us feel very frail or very faint next to a person or within a context of there is no gender, there is nothing to talk about, there's no small talk, there is no job, there is no rubbish that people collect. If you didn't want to live within society, wouldn't it be so much better for you? So there's the question mark here, also for me as well, living without the prototype of Luciferian culture, you know. So you look at the doll, you see the pyramid and the all-seeing eye. So like you see, like throughout cultures in the world, there's always been that, you know. This is not a new concept. This is ancient philosophy that comes from the stars, you know, and some people very much trust that as all as it is. But we have to somehow bring it all closer to the truth, and the truth is the perfection of who you are, within which there is no boundaries. So walking towards that is the only way, you know. So we've crossed the DC. Sorry, like this is getting a little washed out for you, I understand. If it is, I'm sorry. Walking towards the DC, then we have Libra. Libra is a sign of waste. You understand? So it's like the sign of you've processed and out it came. It's kind of like defecation. It's kind of like sweat. It's like glands working through things and just understanding and just keeping things out. So it's like you understand. So a very big part of Libra is also like Libra, the book, you know, is also just knowledge. But we don't see it as that. We're like, oh yeah, Libras are kind of like this, like fluffy people, whatever, you know, they're a little shallow. It's knowledge. Libras are knowledge and understanding. Also, it could be linked to the Akashic records and the fate of the world. So we have a very giant psychic link here. It's just that we don't know it, you know. So Libra sometimes is not a very conscious or very self-aware sign because it's very dreamy, it's very relaxed. There's a reason for it. It's part of a portal. So if you want to be, you could be beyond this world. So if you can imagine DC as the element of death, AC is the birth, and DC is the element of death. So DC globally is between Virgo and Libra. So we've gone through it on the 21st of September. So now we are healing and we are understanding of, in a way, what Earth is after the system, or what life is after death, or what a person is after they have crossed a certain boundary or crossed a certain line. So this is another book. So this is another level of the dream, or being or not being. So if you want, you can walk out of all of this stuff. And that's a very interesting, I suppose, question mark to me in terms of like walking out of, you know, Illuminati driven or like business driven systems and such. So maybe you'd like to see more of that. I will be putting all of these videos, these types of videos on my other channel because I don't want to bore my astrology crowd with them. Anyway, thank you so much. If you'd like, have a look at the links below, and I will shortly also publish the book on the year. Thank you. Bye.